Hi, I'm Janie. Welcome to the JC League House. Since I started doing these YouTube videos a little over a year ago, the number one question I've been getting is why did I buy this house and what were my plans for it when I bought it? Was I going to live here? Was it going to be a wedding venue? Was it going to be a bed and breakfast? Just what was I going to do with it and what was my thinking when I bought it? I've been reluctant to answer the question because it's been a moving target and something that I've been doing a lot of soul searching about and a lot of math. I'm getting close to making a final decision that I can share with you, but before I do, I thought it might be good to start at the beginning and just refresh how I got here. Because like everything else, it's complicated. Everything is interrelated, and when you see the bigger picture, you'll understand what I'm doing or what I think I have to do now. So where to start? I've told you before, I bought this house because of an open window on the second floor. It just drove me crazy over that 7-year period driving back and forth past this house while working on the Lucas apartment building. I teased my husband, "You better pray this house didn't come up for sale," because I was going to buy it and close that window. Well, it did come up for sale, and I did buy it in like 2 days. My daughter wanted seafood. We drove down, saw the for sale sign in the yard, called the realtor. Next thing you know, we were looking at the house. I got my first glimpse inside, and I was a goner. All the windows were boarded up, and there was no electricity, so it was very dark, and we just had our phone flashlights. You couldn't see much on the first floor because it was so dark, but standing on the front porch, looking through the front door and down at the entry tile and looking through the house to the receiving area, I knew in my heart I was going to buy this house. I really didn't care about anything else at that moment. I went home and tried to reason with myself, but it was no good. My husband never really cares what I do, and I mean that in a very supportive way. I handle the financial side of our business, and he trusts me. Plus, he cares absolutely nothing about material things. He's good as long as he can have a dog and go fishing. I collect houses. But anyway, I did something I never do, and that was come back for a second look. I just needed to validate my thinking, make sure I was doing the right thing by making an offer. It may seem like something I did on a whim, but I'm actually highly focused on the business side of what my husband and I do, buying and remodeling homes. And I did have what I thought was a pretty good plan in place financially to deal with this house and take on very little risk. To understand my plan, you first need to know that I never intended to live here. I never intended to own it long term. I already own the Lucas apartment building, and it's my first love. It's a place that feels like home to me. But I absolutely love the process of renovation, and I'm almost done there. I viewed this purchase as what I call my weird hobby, a chance to do something I love to do and save this house in the process. I knew it was a house I couldn't afford to keep long term, but I was inspired by the work of the Galveston Historical Foundation. They have a revolving fund that they use to purchase houses and then rehabilitate them, and then they sell the building and put that money back in the fund and buy another house. That lets the Historical Foundation take on buildings that are in horrible condition that no one else would buy because they don't know how much work it's going to take to make it livable. Most of these buildings would have been demolished without them stepping in. When they sell a building, they also put on protective covenants to ensure the building has a better chance of being preserved in the future, just like the deed restrictions here on this house, although they didn't work so well. Anyway, according to their website, the foundation has protective covenants on approximately 35 commercial buildings and 40 private residences in Galveston. And here's a fun fact. The foundation actually has covenants on the Lucas apartment. They didn't buy it and rehabilitate it, but one time when the apartment was being sold, they worked with the seller to put themselves in the chain of title and insert those covenants before the title passed to the new owner. They actually do an annual review of my property where they come out and physically look at it to make sure I haven't inappropriately changed the exterior of the building. That's perfectly fine with me because the exterior is what makes that building so unique, and I would never want to change a single thing about it. Anyway, I decided I could do the same thing with the League House. If I could buy it at the right price, I could occupy myself for 2 or 3 years renovating it, resolve all the structural issues, and get it to a condition where the right buyer could envision themselves in this house. When the house was sold, I'd get my investment back and replenish my retirement savings, which is what I used to buy the house. We'll follow the money trail in the next video. Oh, I'm sweating awful. It's hot. Anyway, I guess you could call this a flip of sorts, but not in a traditional way. I had no real interest in earning a profit. I was just hoping to break even or maybe even lose a little bit, but just a little bit. Renovating the house would also give me a great deal of control over how the renovation was done. I knew the house would need to be brought up to modern standards. No one was going to pay $1.5 million or $2 million for a house without a great kitchen, great bathrooms, all the high-end bells and whistles you would expect. But I believed I could do it in a way that respected the architecture of the house and the period of the house. Let me show you some of the changes I had planned to make this a modern, livable space. We're at the back of the kitchen in the small pantry. It's got these great pine cabinets. But behind this wall is another storage room that you enter from outside on the back porch. My thought was that I would remove these cabinets, save the fronts to reuse them, take down that wall, and open this up into a big long space. That would give me room to add a lengthy counter. I could add, space for a microwave, a wine fridge, a big refrigerator, coffee maker. All the modern conveniences of a kitchen could be here right around the corner, so that when you look into the kitchen itself, they wouldn't be in your face. It's also going to be a great light space. The shutters are closed and there's some plywood up, but there's 2 more windows over in that other part of the outdoor pantry. So this would be a really cool space, and I could reuse these to build the cabinets and keep them with the house because they're original. On the back porch, and this is that storeroom I told you that was right behind the little pantry in the kitchen. This is another door that goes in the kitchen that I don't quite understand why it's there, but anyway, you can see in this space, it's actually bigger than the kitchen side, and it has 2 windows in it. If this were opened up and this door closed, it'd be a great, great space. Okay, let's go in the kitchen. The kitchen's a mess, forgive me, but the kitchen could basically stay the same. We could put in a fabulous, expensive, high-end gourmet stove. We could add a baking station and build a fabulous island that was reminiscent of how the Victorians used their kitchen, with a work table in the middle. The old sink could be repaired, and it could be a prep space for food preparation. We don't really need dishwashing capabilities in here because storage for all of the normal kitchen things, plates, pots, and pans, would be in the butler's pantry. And I had just a small change in mind for there. Let's go look. There was originally a sink here that looked just like the kitchen sink. It had been removed and a new cabinet put in. I thought I could put that cabinet back with a deep bowl sink, a dishwasher on one side, but build the cabinets to match the existing cabinets in the butler's pantry, so that it wasn't so obvious that it was a new addition. This would make a great space for entertaining with the dining room. Like I said, all the dishware and cookware would be here. Makes sense to do your dishes here and away from the cooking part of the kitchen. Another thing that was really lacking in this house was bathrooms. No one's going to buy a house this size and not have a private bath for every bedroom. This is the primary bedroom. It's huge, and it has no bath. It has to share the family bath down the hall. So my thought was, in this porch area that was closed in 1920, I could turn it into just a fabulous bathroom suite off the primary. There's tons of room, tons of light. The plumbing was accessible in the wall. And if I didn't want to do that, I could do a smaller bathroom and make this an incredible dressing area. But there were a lot of possibilities here to make this a really awesome primary suite. But again, do the work in a way that's reflective of the style when the house was originally built. This is a tight space. It's hard for me to get in there, but this bathroom was clearly added in the 60s, and my thought was that once I added that big bath for the primary, I could close off the door and make this exclusive for Uncle Lee's bedroom. I love the blue. It doesn't really go with the house, but I was mixed about whether I would gut it out or just put in a new floor and make some modest changes. But whatever I did, it would give this bedroom its own private bathroom facility. And if you remember from the demolition video in here, I salvaged these incredible 36 light windows that used to open into that porch so that I could make this bedroom more usable by getting a large wall space to add a bed and reuse those coming into the new bathroom. So this would then be a great bedroom, good closet, and a private bath. In the original family bathroom, we took out an old shower, and my goal was to really put this back the way it was, with just a sink, a toilet, and a clawfoot soaking tub. Now that's not great because it doesn't have a shower, but I had a plan for that. It's hard to capture it on video, but that bathroom sits right by this door that takes you into the servants area. And just around the corner here is the servants' bedroom. Because the primary would have its own bathroom, Uncle Lee's bedroom would have its own bathroom, that original family bathroom could be used exclusively by this servant's bedroom. And there's a closet at the back, I think I've shown you in the tour, that used to have the slop hopper in it. My thought was this would make a great shower area. You could have a fabulous big shower, room for dressing, and it's kind of back in this like almost private space. They could have this whole space like a suite, but the tub and the commode would be separate from the shower, which is not a bad idea. Let's go on up to the third floor and look at one more change. And it's getting hotter as we go up. Hopefully you've already seen the video about this third floor bathroom, but my plan here was to leave it almost the same, but get rid of these cabinets and put in a huge walk-in shower here. So this would be a great modern bathroom, but keeping the old tile and keeping the look of the 20s remodel. Up here in the servants' work area, it's actually one of my favorite spaces. That conical roof on the porch gives you this great structural feel and shape inside with the rounded walls. There's incredible windows that look out on the Trube Castle and the Bishop's Palace. And I thought this whole room would be a great kind of game room, teenage hideout, just a fun place to hang. So my thought was I could put a long counter here in front of the windows. It could hold a refrigerator for drinks. It might have a microwave, a sink. This would be a place to hang out, maybe mix a drink or pop popcorn for the kids and have a movie. This could be a really multi-purpose room where you wouldn't have to be running downstairs to the first floor to get a snack if you're watching a movie or just hanging out with friends. In the basement, I would add a large double laundry, a game room, a mother-in-law suite with a full kitchen and private access to the outside. Someone very wealthy would want this house. So that was my first plan. But as Robert Burns wrote in his poem, the best laid plans of mice and men can still go wrong. My plan immediately began to fall apart. When I bought the house, I'd probably spent less than 15 minutes total time inside. It had no electricity. I'd viewed it with a phone flashlight. I knew it had a lot of original features, but it really hadn't soaked in just how original this house was. After I bought it and spent a lot of time here looking at it and understanding the historical significance of the property, I know it's a little corny, but I always say I don't like to rush with a house because the house needs to speak to me. Well, within a month or two, the League house was screaming at me. I realized I could never sell it. I didn't want a modern kitchen. I didn't want to gut the bathrooms. I didn't want to ask the Kempner Foundation for permission to tear down the garage and build a new one. I wanted everything to stay exactly as it was. This house is an incredible time capsule from 1893. with that tweaking that happened in 1920. I also didn't want to be in a rush. Time is not your friend when you flip a house. The longer you take to turn over a house, the more likely you are to lose money. And I had a lot of money at stake. So not selling would take a Herculean effort and a new plan. After meeting some of the Kempner family, I felt like their interest was the same as mine. Preserve the house and keep it standing for future generations. I knew it had deed restrictions that said it had to be primarily used as a single-family residence, but after working in the house for a while, I felt like I could modify it to be almost a fourplex without harming the interior or exterior at all. The basement had to be completely gutted anyway, and there was clear evidence that there had been a full apartment in the basement at one time, and servants' quarters. I felt like I could build 2 nice apartments in the basement with their own access outside without changing any of the look of the exterior of the building. Work on those apartments would bring revenue and help me stabilize my financial position and have the added benefit of people living on the property so that it would be better protected from vandals. Having someone living in the basement would also mean that that space was air conditioned and climate controlled, which would significantly improve the health of this house. My 3rd floor plan could be modified to turn it into an independent apartment. With income from 3 apartments, I'd still lose money, but it would be slowed down some, and I could take a little more time to do a true restoration of the 1st and 2nd floor, thinking it could bring in some extra revenue as kind of a limited use event space. I didn't approach the Kempner Foundation yet about my plans, but the family members I spoke to were very supportive. They were also worried about the long-term health of the house and the vandalism aspect. So I scrapped my plans, redesigned the basement space, threw out the idea of the large bathroom suite off the primary bedroom, and continued on my way with structural work. I was very proud of my new plan until I actually sat down and did some financial analysis. I'm a spreadsheet queen. It didn't go well. For reference, it took me 8 years to get the Lucas Apartments cash flow neutral, meaning that the rent I receive covers my ongoing operating costs. In other words, I'm not sinking tons of my own money into it anymore, which I think is fantastic, by the way, in that time frame. But anyway, I ran 20 and 30-year projections on the League house, way past my projected lifespan, and I never could make the money side work. It was going to suck the life of me if I didn't go back to my original plan and sell the house. I'm sorry I'm sweating. It is like 100 degrees in here. But anyway, I want to show you something. One of my daughters gave me a card for Mother's Day this year. It has the usual printed, nice stuff on it. But then she writes at the bottom, "Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for all that you do for us. You are a great problem solver and hard worker and supportive mother. I love you, Abby." She clearly knows me very well. Other mothers get gushy, you're my best friend cards. I get the hardworking problem solver cards. She just cracks me up. So I'm going to leave you with a cliffhanger. Does my daughter really know what she's talking about? Have I solved my problem? What's my next step? Will I have to give up the house? If you want to know the answers, you'll have to come back. So be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time here at the incredible J.C. League House in Galveston, Texas.